In Reservoir Dogs, most of the crew go down because they're loud, reckless, or too emotional for their own good. But then there's Mr. Pink, the guy who keeps his head straight, questions everything, and actually makes it out when everyone else crashes and burns. Let's break down 8 reasons why Mr. Pink is the smartest guy in the room, and why his brain, not his bullets, is what gives him the best shot at survival. Number 1. Level-headed and calm under pressure. Mr. Pink's smartness really comes from one simple thing. When everyone else is freaking out, he doesn't. The whole job falls apart. Cops are everywhere. Bullets are flying. And instead of panicking like the others, he keeps his head straight. While Mr. Blonde is losing it and shooting civilians, Mr. Pink is thinking, "Nope, not me. I'm out of here." He runs, fights only when he absolutely has to, and even remembers to hide the diamonds for later. That's calm under pressure. Back in the warehouse, when emotions are sky high, he doesn't get sucked into the chaos. Mr. White is yelling, Mr. Orange is bleeding out, everyone's suspicious of each other, and Mr. Pink is the one trying to actually figure out what happened. He doesn't just scream accusations, he lays it out logically. Somebody here is a rat and we need to work this out. That's not panic, that's composure. And at the very end, in the middle of the big Mexican standoff, everyone else is so wound up they pull their guns and drop like dominoes. Pink, though, keeps his distance. He doesn't jump in guns blazing. He stays back, waits, and then slips away while the others destroy each other. That's why his level-headedness is such a big deal. He doesn't let fear, anger, or guilt control him. He thinks clearly when the heat is on, and that's why he's the only one who really has a chance to walk out alive. Number 2, analytical and observant. Mr. Pink is smart because he actually pays attention and asks questions when everything is going crazy. After the robbery goes wrong, he's the first one to say, "Wait a second, how did the cops show up so quickly?" He doesn't buy the idea that it was bad luck. He figures out that someone must have tipped them off. That's him using his brain while the others are too busy fighting or blaming each other. In the warehouse, when everyone is shouting and pulling guns, he acts more like the detective of the group. He keeps watching, thinking, and pointing out what doesn't add up. He doesn't automatically believe Joe or Eddie just because they're the bosses. He actually questions their decisions and says, "Does this plan even make sense?" That shows he's thinking for himself instead of following blindly. The clever part is how he uses timing and small details. He explains that the speed of the police response is way too fast to be normal. For him, that's proof that something bigger is going on. Instead of exploding in anger like the others, he explains his theory step by step, almost like he's laying out evidence. This makes him stand out as the observant one. While everyone else lets emotions cloud their thinking, Mr. Pink is busy connecting the dots. He spots the setup, keeps his cool, and tries to work things out logically. In a story full of chaos and paranoia, he's the one guy actually thinking like a professional. Number 3. Self-preserving instincts. Mr. Pink's whole thing is staying alive, plain and simple. While the other guys in Reservoir Dogs are busy trying to look tough or prove their loyalty, he's thinking, "Nope, I'm not dying for this job." That survival instinct makes him smarter than the rest. When the robbery turns into a total mess, he doesn't stick around to play hero. He runs, fights only if he has no other choice, and he even hides the diamonds instead of dragging them around like a target on his back. That's survival thinking, right there. He also knows when to keep his mouth shut. Unlike some of the others who spill too much or let emotions take over, Mr. Pink is careful about what he reveals. He doesn't trust anyone fully, and that keeps him from making dumb mistakes. The best example is the ending. While everyone else is in the middle of a giant standoff, pointing guns and shouting like maniacs, Mr. Pink literally slides under the ramp, waits it out, and sneaks off with the jewels. While they all die proving how tough they are, he's outside saying, "Thanks for the chaos, fellas. I'll take these diamonds now." Even at the diner in the beginning, when he's arguing about tipping, you can see his mindset. He's looking out for himself first. That's how he works through the whole story. He avoids risks, doesn't waste time on macho nonsense, and always picks the path that gives him the best shot at survival. That's why people see him as smart. He isn't reckless. He doesn't care about grandstanding, and he lasts longer than anyone because he treats survival like the real prize. Number 4. Skepticism about trust and identity. Mr. Pink is the kind of guy who doesn't trust anybody unless he has to, and honestly, that's what keeps him alive. After the heist falls apart, he's the one going, "Hold up, cops don't just magically show up that fast. Somebody tipped them off." While the others are yelling or swearing loyalty to each other, Pink is busy side-eyeing everyone, thinking, one of you is lying. He even tells Mr. White straight up that for all he knows, White himself could be the rat. He doesn't sugarcoat it because in his head, anyone could be the snake in the grass. That suspicious mindset makes him sharper because he's not falling into the trap of, "Oh, I trust this guy because he seems nice." And when it comes to his own identity, he's extra careful. He sticks to his code name, Mr. Pink, and doesn't slip up. No real names, no personal info, nothing someone can use against him. In a crew full of guys wearing their emotions on their sleeves, Pink is like, "Nope, you're not getting a single real detail out of me." The way he watches people in the warehouse is almost funny. Everyone's screaming, pointing guns, bleeding out. But Pink is in the corner analyzing the room like he's playing a game of Clue. He doesn't give blind trust. He doesn't give away his own identity. And he keeps his eyes open when everyone else is losing their cool. That's classic Mr. Pink. Number 5. Moral lines. Mr. Pink might be a thief, but he's not totally heartless. He has his own lines he doesn't want to cross. When Mr. Blonde goes nuts during the robbery and starts killing innocent people for no reason, Pink is pissed about it. He straight up says that kind of thing is out of line. He's fine with stealing, fine with running from cops, but gunning down random civilians? That's too much for him. He also shows this in the warehouse when they're arguing about Mr. Orange. Mr. White wants to rush Orange to the hospital, but Pink says, "That's a death trap. The cops are everywhere." He's torn between the decent thing to do and the smart thing to do. And you can tell he's at least thinking about both sides instead of being cold and careless. Pink even says at one point something like, "I don't want to kill anyone, but if I have to in order to escape, then I will." That's his whole vibe. He's not out there for blood, and he doesn't kill for fun like Blonde. He'll pull the trigger only if it's absolutely necessary. So yeah, he's a crook, but he's not completely amoral. He has his boundaries. In a crew where some guys go overboard and others act on pure emotion, Pink stands in the middle. He's still a criminal, but one with just enough of a conscience to say, "Okay, that's going too far." Number 6. Pragmatism. Mr. Pink is the guy who always keeps it real. He doesn't care about looking tough or being a hero. He cares about what actually works. That's what makes him so pragmatic. When everything goes crazy after the heist, he says things like, "What you don't do is start shooting up the place." And he's right. Shooting random people and panicking doesn't solve anything. It just brings more cops, more chaos, and more chances to get killed. He's the one reminding everyone of the simple, obvious truth. If you want to survive, keep it calm and professional. You see this again when Mr. White wants to rush Orange to a hospital. White's thinking with his heart, but Pink's like, "Yeah, that's basically walking straight into the cops' arms." He's not being cold. He's being realistic. He knows that sometimes the nice or honorable choice is actually the dumbest move if you want to live. And when he talks about Mr. Blonde, he makes it clear that killing civilians was pointless. It doesn't help the job. It just makes everything harder. Pink's logic is simple. If something doesn't move you closer to escaping alive, don't do it. That's his whole mindset. He acts like a pro, not an amateur. While the others get caught up in emotions or pride, he strips things down to the basics. What's the smartest move right now that keeps me breathing? That's why his pragmatic way of thinking makes him stand out. He's the voice of reason in a room full of hotheads. Number 7. Awareness of the stakes. Mr. Pink is always switched on to how dangerous their situation really is. Even in his escape after the heist, he doesn't just run around like a headless chicken. He shoots only when he has no choice, hijacks a car, and gets out smartly. He knows every second matters, and he acts like it. When he barges into the warehouse after escaping, he doesn't waste time with small talk. He jumps straight in, saying something's wrong, the cops were there too fast, and somebody must have tipped them off. He's immediately putting the spotlight on the danger they're in, instead of getting lost in the shouting match. Another moment is how he treats the warehouse itself. While others relax a little, Pink doesn't. He doesn't trust it's really safe. You can tell he's constantly looking over his shoulder, expecting betrayal, expecting that the cops could bust in at any moment. That paranoia actually works in his favor because he never lets his guard down. There's also the tense moment when he and Mr. White almost draw guns on each other in the bathroom. Even in that showdown, Pink's logic is crystal clear. He isn't fighting because of ego or anger. He's making a point that moving Orange to the hospital could expose them all. Even when he's staring down a gun, he's arguing from survival instincts, not emotions. These moments show that Pink's awareness of the stakes is baked into everything he does, whether he's fleeing, arguing, or even confronting someone. He always has that voice in his head saying, "This is dangerous. Don't screw it up." And that's why he manages to stay one step ahead while everyone else collapses. Number 8. Resists emotional impulsivity. Mr. Pink is emotional inside, sure, but when things get heated, he forces himself to think first and act later. In their warehouse arguments, when Mr. White or Mr. Blonde start shouting and making wild moves, Pink steps in with a cooler head. He says things like, "You two assholes, calm the F down," trying to de-escalate. He doesn't immediately draw his gun or scream. He tries to pull back the chaos with words. When Blonde murders civilians during the robbery, Pink objects. He is clearly upset. But instead of launching into a wild revenge spree, he voices his objections. Violence for vengeance alone is stupid and dangerous. He debates, "Hey, that's too far," instead of just going berserk. There's also a moment when Mr. White and Pink almost shoot each other over the wounded Mr. Orange. But even that fight has logic. Pink points out how dangerous it is to transport a bleeding man through streets full of cops. He argues about what will happen, not just what feels right. So Pink doesn't let rage or pain drag him into bad decisions. He feels anger, sees injustice, but tempers it with reason. He debates, he calculates, and then he moves. That mix of feeling plus thinking keeps him from doing stupid stuff when the pressure is on. These are the reasons why Mr. Pink is the smartest man in the room. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel for more. Be cool.